Maureen, ready?
Almost,
Okay, let me know.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm on to start meeting.
George, we good? Excellent. Make it so. I just-
Hey, so
Good evening. Welcome to the Tuesday, October 15th, 2024, Monroe Town Planning Board meeting. Noreen, can we start with a roll call, please?
Bonnie Franson's out. Jeff Manson
Aye.
will be doing deputy chair tonight. Pat Shea,
Aye.
Dylan Penn,
Aye.
Lou Rivera,
Aye.
and Robert Garstack is out.
Before we get started, I'd like to point out the fire exits. Primary fire exit is out through the main door that we all came in. Both double doors behind us are fire exits. If you come out the double doors here and out to the left, that'll take you onto the porch and down the steps. Can everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. Okay, our first project for tonight is 81 Raywood Drive. Evening. Microphone is probably off if you just pull the little switch on the top towards you. Yep. On.
Hi, good evening. My name is Shlomi Gil from Hartman Design. I'm here on behalf of the applicant for 81 Raywood for the public hearing. We have received comments at the last meeting for the architectural plans and for the site plan. We have sent to the engineer the letter from our engineer to address all the comments. I think all is taken care of, and we are here to hear any comments from the public.
Okay, before we open the public hearing, Sean, any comments?
Yeah, we didn't receive any comments this evening. So we provide those.
I can't hear you.
Sorry. So we didn't receive the submission for 81. So we will provide comments if you have submitted something for next meeting.
We have submitted, no?
No, I don't think anything was submitted. It was just your public.
I think it was just architectural plans that you submitted, right?
I had a submission packet, but I'm not sure that it's updated based on.
I think it was
Well,
the one
I
from
have here
August.
Yeah, the one I have in front of me is September 26, 24. Revised per comments of the town engineer.
Yes.
This I have is August 29th.
No, they would have been. You would have gotten.
I know you electronically submitted the architectural plans, but
We have submitted the site plan and architecture and a narrative from the engineer and the updated SWIP.
all right, we'll look into that.
And I can pass my copies on to you tonight, Sean.
All right, that'd be great.
Yeah,
thank
that
you.
way we'll keep things moving here.
That means we're gonna stay a month. We're gonna be able to make a resolution tonight, to vote to make a resolution tonight?
I don't think we're at that point, one way or the other. Let's first get through public comments.
Okay.
Kelly? Nothing. Oh, Sean, you know what I did want to ask you about in relation to this? So, one of the things we talked about was the issue with the stairs, particularly down to the two basements.
Yes.
And whether they were outside the building footprint, and you were going to follow up with Ben on that. And I wonder if we had any resolution to that issue.
I did follow up with Ben. Let me just find the email. Readily, but
Sure. While you're looking for that, Kelly, I'm sorry, I don't have my notes file. I can't find it either. I'm not sure that we did a neg deck on this yet.
It would be a type 2.
Oh, so we don't need to.
No.
Okay, so then we can go right to public comment, but yeah, I would like to see if Sean can find that. While Sean is looking. I know. We'll get to that.
I just want to make,
Thank you. I just want to see if any of the other members of the planning board had any questions or comments for the applicant at this point. Dylan?
No.
No.
Lou?
No.
My only question, really, and it related to something with the addition of the dry well because of the, I guess, the additional parking in front that was added. So I know a dry well was added as part of that, and that the dry well is going to be fed by sheet flow. But kind of as I'm looking towards the grading plan, I'm wondering the area of the driveway with the back out space that leads into where the walkway is to the house, the way that's graded, won't it flow off of that corner and down into lot 2?
absolutely right. I had a comment last round with regards to the grading and how that was going to be directed to the dry well, as well as I believe it's too steep for a car to be able to back out in that space. So I had asked the applicant to review that grading.
And I may be looking at the revised grading too, which may solve that issue. But, yeah, it just seems to me like that corner of the driveway at least would flow not all into the dry well, but down to the right of the property line and into lot 2. So I think that's just something we're going to want to continue to keep an eye on. I did want to comment. I took a look too today at the one mocked up elevation of what the building would look like in the front. And I love all the windows in the front. I think that was a really nice way that that was done with the extra story of windows in the first story. It looks like in the dining room and the living room, it's going to be very nice, bright, pleasant spaces. And it looks like that kind of carries up into the bedroom level as well to some degree. So I thought that was a nice feature, and I just wanted to point that out. You're welcome.
I can't find the email, but I'll follow up with Ben in the event that I didn't send it, but I'm pretty sure I got a response that he was okay with the stairs in the setback, given the exemption that's written. Side yard setback for stairs for egress.
Okay, so then it wouldn't be an issue for either the basement stairs or the stairs up to the front doors.
Based on my reading of the code, and I'm recalling a conversation I had with Ben about it, and I just for some reason can't find the email, but we can get that memorialized.
So we'll do that. I mean, that we can even handle as a condition probably if it really comes down to it. But I think we'll have that answer by the time we're ready to move on to resolution. So I'd like to make a motion that we open the public hearing on 81 Raywood Drive, the revised site plan for that. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Nope.
Jeff Manson,
Aye.
Pat Shea,
Aye. Aye.
Rivera.
Noreen, do we have anyone for public tonight? It doesn't look like we do? Okay. I don't see a reason with this application to hold over the public hearing for another meeting. I think it's sensible, since we're not ready to move on a resolution tonight, and we have a couple of outstanding issues, that we could leave the public open for written comment to be submitted to our planning secretary for the next 10 calendar days, which would put us at the 25th, maybe? Through Friday, the 25th.
Okay, FYI, I will be off the 24th and the 25th for a family wedding. So if you want to make it,
Fair enough. Let's do that just to be detailed. Does that make sense to the rest of the board? Okay, then I'm going to make a motion that we keep the public hearing open for written comment only until October 28th, that is a Monday. But for tonight, our verbal public hearing, would we close that portion of the public hearing, or?
Motion to close the public hearing and accept written comments until October 28th.
I'll make that motion as explained by our attorney. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lou. Aye.
Pat Shea,
Aye. Aye.
Rivera.
Aye.
Okay, I apologize that somewhere along the way, not everyone got a copy of the revision that was submitted at the end of September, but I'm gonna get that over to our planning engineer. We're gonna get something in writing from the building inspector, just saying that there's no issue with the stairs on the side, just because of the building footprint. What else can we do for you at this point? Any questions you have for us?
If possible, since I see that we don't have any comments from the engineer tonight, we didn't get to review this plan, the updated submission. If possible, to make a resolution, to make a vote to make a resolution, and we're gonna be in touch with the attorney for any comments, and our office to work with his office, with him, to work out all the final touches.
I would agree that we're at that point. Our engineer will review the remaining plans, any comments that come off of that. I think we're pretty much there with this project anyway, but any comments from that can be addressed as a condition of the resolution. So I'd like to make a motion to authorize our attorney to start working on a draft for a resolution for 81 Raywood Drive. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Aye.
Pat Shea,
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Thank you so much.
So if we receive any written comments, we'll certainly make sure that those are to you by the end of the period, end of the day on the 28th, and those will all get out to the board. So if we have anything that we need to address there, we can hop right on that as well.
Okay, thank you. And we're gonna be closed for the holiday till the 28th.
Okay.
So I can send again you have the submittal that we have submitted? To
Yes,
forward
what
it to
happened
the
is it
engineer?
came in after the deadline last month, and we were closed for Friday and Monday, because I just looked it up.
Oh.
So Sean, I hand-delivered it to you at the special meeting on October 1st. So it might be with those papers, not with your other submissions. Because it did come
Okay.
in late.
Okay.
So we
if
did
possible,
accept it.
while the holiday, to review that, so the 28th, we're gonna be back. You should have the comments, so we can get back to you as soon as possible.
November
If anything
meeting.
has to be fixed.
Yeah, I don't foresee any major issues that couldn't be handled with the conditional approval resolution.
Okay.
So,
And
Thank you.
I'm gonna pass along my set to Sean now,
Thanks.
so that, just in case it isn't in his paperwork, he has that as well. If you
Okay.
Gentlemen, can
Thanks
pass
so
that down
much.
to our engineer,
Okay.
please?
Thanks
Absolutely.
so much, and good night.
Thank you. Noreen handed them to me on the 1st. You said, here's your packet for October.
Bonnie, you're the only,
Right. And I
Anybody else
did,
wants-
but I did find it in email today, because that's what wasn't in the print.
November 30th, it would have been emailed out.
Yeah,
Because
I-
that's when they brought it to me, because we were closed on the Friday when he first tried to bring them in. So they came in late, and then I said to Sean, I would just bring it to him at the meeting. So it's probably with his October 1st papers.
sorry.
Okay, our next project is Golden Delight Bakery.
Oh, this is Lisa's. What did you say?
Good evening, John Queenie with Lankin Tully for the applicant. We're back before you tonight with Golden Delight Baking, which is a commercial site plan located at 31 Larkin Drive. It's been before the board at numerous iterations. It's an existing about 12,000 square foot building with numerous users in it, the main user being KY Bakery. And we are before you tonight for public hearing.
There was no updated submission
No.
for this, correct?
Correct.
It was based on the last submission?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Good,
are
this
working.
one I didn't screw up too.
No, you never screw from that.
I'm always afraid I deleted an email, so I'm just checking.
No, there was no new submission for the hearing. We are working on a landscaping plan to address what we spoke about at the last meeting with the berm along Larkin Drive to clean up that area, as well as addressing Sean's prior comments and also Ashley's. So that's where we're at.
Received draft comments from Karen Arendt's office?
I did not get anything on this application from Karen. Yet.
Okay, so we'll have to make sure that you get those as well. Nothing too crazy, some of the stuff, some of the
Yeah.
wording on the site plan. I think she recommended the replacement of one type of tree with another. Oh, unless, you know what, maybe it was 127
I think-
that we got Karen's.
Yeah, because we haven't,
Correct.
I haven't
Okay.
finished.
Golden Delight
Right,
was,
right, right.
was,
Golden-
was referred to Karen,
But we haven't
we don't have
received.
comments.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm mixing up what I reviewed this morning. Thank you.
No,
Okay, before we get, Sean, any comments for us at this point?
Nothing further than what we've already discussed.
This is also a type 2,
This is also a,
so we don't have to worry about that. Any thing else we should know at this point, Kelly?
Ashley had some minor comments, but she emailed them directly to John.
Anything that the board should be aware of?
Minor technical.
Technical things?
Yeah.
Okay. Any members of the board have any questions in relation to this project at this point? Lou?
None.
Pat?
No. Oh, thank you.
So I was re-reviewing the plans today, I see you provided for 32 parking spaces and what looks like 2 truck parking spaces
Yes,
in that corner.
yes.
The way it looks on the plan is it almost looks like there's a smaller truck space there right next to the steep slope.
Yeah, that's just the extents of the existing gravel.
So there's existing gravel there.
Yeah,
Okay.
everything that, excuse me, everything that's got that hatch, that shade, that's existing gravel area today.
Okay.
And so what I did was I just delineated spaces. That'll be paved as part of the application and then striped. And so that's just an area that will remain as is.
And if I gathered correctly, it's box trucks that go in and
Correct.
out of there, not tractor trailers?
Correct.
Okay. I saw the size of the spaces in the details, at least of the handicap spaces. For the regular spaces, we should probably have something showing the size of the spaces for the truck spaces. I don't think I noted that.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
I think
point.
that was one of your, I think it was one of your comments. They're 9 by 18s, and then the handicap spaces they're 8 foot wide. So there's 1 foot reduction, but we'll mark them. That's not a problem.
No, but what Jeff is saying for the length
Oh,
of the.
okay. Yeah, we can dimension that up.
And did I note correctly that both where there's no pavement or where there's existing pavement, the plan is to repave the entire lot?
Yes.
Okay, I thought I read that
Correct,
on the
yes.
plans, just
And then
wanted
there's
to...
some
new
additional pavement that is going in as you scroll south.
Right.
Yep, that area. Yep, those areas, and then over there.
Yeah, I wanted to be sure that I was reading it right, and it wasn't just the areas that are being added to that are being repaved, that
Correct.
the entire lot is.
Yes, the entire lot will be repaved.
I'm sure all the businesses operating out of there and their employees will appreciate that.
It'll make it a little more organized, and that way the spaces will get striped as well, so it'll be,
And so I know the one entry drive-through is being relocated, and I'm sure we discussed this, and I apologize, I couldn't remember when I was looking at it. What's the purpose for moving that?
because it crosses the property line.
Oh, okay,
So we'll put it solely on our property then.
just to...
Yep.
So the pavement outside of the lines for the proposed driveway, where it runs into the other property, that's going to be removed?
That would be removed.
Okay. Makes sense. Thank you. All right, those are all my questions. Can I have someone make a motion that we open the public hearing for Golden Delight Bakery?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second? Thank you. Aye.
Pat Shea?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Members, we don't have members of the public who'd like to speak on behalf of this application as well. I am going to propose that we do the same thing, that we close the public hearing tonight, but leave it open for written comment through October 28th, when Noreen gets back into the office. Anyone have any?
Motion?
Well, I just wanted to ask first, does anyone have any questions or concerns about that in this application? Does that make sense to you as well?
Listen, I drive a box truck every day, so I know I'd appreciate a new parking lot.
Okay, no problem.
All right, so then I'm going to make a motion that we close the public hearing and that we leave written comment submittable to our planning board secretary up until October 28th. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Jeff Manson?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anything else that we can do at this point?
It's gonna be a repeat of the prior application. If you would, be so inclined to authorize drafting of an approval resolution, I think that's the next step for us.
I'd like to make a motion that we authorize our attorney to prepare a draft resolution for the Golden Delight revised site plan application. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Jeff Manson?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll have the updated plans with that next month.
Okay.
Costume to drop.
I'll come in as an attorney.
You're gonna look good.
I'm just switching note files. Okay, our next application is the site plan for, the subdivision for 127 Seven Springs Road, also a special use permit for that. At our last meeting, we had authorized Ashley to work on a resolution. We do have that at this time to review. Before we do that, Sean, any comments at this point?
No comments on this?
Kelly, anything we should know before we review?
No, I think Sean made a change to what was previously distributed to update the date of your memo, right?
I have that version up.
Oh, fantastic. Anyone from the board have any questions for the applicant before we review this? Any comments?
No.
Oh, okay. Then let's get right into it. So this is a resolution of conditional approval, preliminary and final subdivision site plan and special use permits for Gold and Stone Consulting LLC. They've applied for approval of this to demolish an existing dwelling and related improvements and subdivide a 9.456 acre parcel into 3 lots for construction of 4,500 square foot, 2-family detached dwellings, 4 bedrooms per unit, with private wells and individual sewage disposal systems. Each lot will contain a 3,500 square foot footprint, 2-family dwelling. Lots 2 and 3 will utilize a shared driveway entrance, and all stormwater management facilities will be located on Lot 3. This resolution is for a property.
Typo in that paragraph, which I just corrected. So instead of lost 2 and 3, it's lots 2 and 3.
And then just one other item, it references 4,500 square feet and then 3,500. I think the 45 should be 35.
Was the footprint 35?
The footprint is 3,500.
So then really, but then the,
No, it would be 30, yeah.
right, so then that should probably read
Yeah,
7,000.
it's a two-story. Plus there
Checking
could
on
be a
that.
basement too.
The plan references 3,500 square footprint for
Correct. I don't believe so. I don't know what the reference to that square footage was entailed to, that's all.
Well, so would it be a reference to the size of each individual unit of the 2-family?
Then that would be 3,500 divided by 2. So it'd be less, it'd be, 17.
The 2 floors. 3,500 footprint, it's 1,750, 1,750 and 1,750. So we're back to 3,500.
right.
And does the
I'm confirming that it is double the square footage based on the architectural plans.
and would the unfinished basement square footage be counted into that?
Typically, no.
So then 3,500 would be, sounds like the way we want to be there.
So keep the 3,500 for the footprint and remove the reference to 4,500 square feet, 2 lines above it?
I think that should be 3,500 square feet as well.
I just want to be careful there because we do have more floor area if you're not referencing a footprint, that's all. I don't want to put.
That one, the first reference of the 45 appears to be the total square footage of the house, where it specifically says later 35 for footprint. So if it's double that, we could say it's 7,000. Or, or I can put footprint again.
Correct.
Okay.
Or we can remove that reference altogether. I mean, I see what you're saying. Into 3 lots for construction of 2-family detached dwellings, 4 bedrooms per unit, each, and then we have our square foot reference in the next sentence. I think that's,
That's how I read it.
okay. Lynn, let's do that. The property affected by this resolution is located at 127 Seven Springs Road. It's shown on the tax maps, Town of Monroe, as tax parcel 1-1-41.2. Zoning districts, this is partially located in the SR10 zoning district and partially in the OSR 3 zoning district. And portions of this are in the both 2-family overlay district and the Ridgeline Protection Overlay District. None of the development is happening in either the Ridgeline Protection or in the OSR 3. So everything that we're looking at, all the development is going to be within the SR10 and the 2-family overlay districts, and everything is appropriate to that. We have a listing of our plans and submittals, all the different submittals that came through in relation that the planning board reviewed in relation to this application. I did have a question. Since there's a reference to a report from the Monroe Conservation Commission, I'm wondering, does this list need to reference the comments from Karen Arendt's office, since we reviewed those as part of this application as well?
She's one of your landscape consultants, so you typically don't list any memos that you receive from our office or from Sean's office, so I would say you don't need to include that.
Good. The architectural plans, the subdivision plans. This application was filed with the planning board on or about February 28th, 2024. A public hearing was convened on July 16th, 2024, and it was closed on the same date. The time period to take action on this application was extended by mutual consent of the owner and the planning board. It's an unlisted action under seeker. Town of Monroe Planning Board is the lead agency in regards to this. We declared our intent to serve as lead agency for seeker on September 13th, 2022, circulated its notice of intent on April 8th, 2024, and we received no objection from any other involved agency, and thus assumed lead agency status on July 18th. A negative declaration was issued on July 16th, declaring that the project will not result in any significant environmental impacts. GML 239 referral. It was exempt for referral to county planning under the general municipal law and an agreement between the county and the town with residential subdivisions with fewer than 5 lots. It was, this application was referred to the Village of Curious Joel, Town of Palm Tree, and the Village of South Blooming Grove, pursuant to the requirements of GML. As our findings, the planning board has determined that approval of this subdivision will substantially serve the public convenience, safety, and welfare in that the land to be subdivided is of such character that it can be used safely for building purposes without danger to health or perils from fire, flood, or other menace. Further, the arrangement, location, and width of the streets, their relation to the topography of the land, water supply, sewage disposal, drainage, lot size and arrangements, the possible future development of adjoining lands as of yet unsubdivided are all appropriate and consistent with the requirements of the master plan, the official map, the Town of Monroe subdivision regulations, and applicable zoning regulations, subject to compliance in full with the conditions hereinafter imposed. The planning board has determined that the approval of the site plan and special use permits will substantially serve the public convenience, safety, and welfare, will not be detrimental to the neighborhood or the residents thereof, and will not otherwise be detrimental to the public convenience or welfare, subject to compliance in full with conditions hereinafter imposed pursuant to section 57-16D. The planning board is determined pursuant to 57-12 and 57-13U that approval of this 2-family detached dwelling special permit will not adversely affect the adjoining properties and general surrounding neighborhood, has taken into consideration the expressed intent of this zoning chapter, the general public health, safety, and welfare, and has prescribed the appropriate conditions and safeguards to ensure accomplishment of the following objective. The use is specifically authorized as a special use in the district in which this site is located. The use is compatible with adjoining properties and the natural and built environment of its surroundings. The site is accessible to fire, police, and other emergency vehicles. The use is suitable to its site upon consideration of its scale and intensity in relation to environmentally sensitive features. Adequate screening and separation distances are provided to buffer the use from adjacent properties. Exterior light will not negatively impact adjoining properties. The use will not negatively impact ambient noise levels, generate excessive dust or odors, release pollutants, generate glare, or cause any other nuisances. Parking is sufficient so as not to create a nuisance or traffic hazard on adjacent properties or roads. Vehicular, pedestrian, and bicycle circulation, including levels of service and road geometry, will be safe and adequate to serve the special use. The location, arrangement, size, and design of the special use, including all public and principal and accessory buildings and structures associated with the same, are compatible with the character of the neighborhood in which it is situated and shall not hinder or negatively impact the use, enjoyment, or operation of adjacent properties and uses. Utilities, including stormwater, wastewater, water solids, solid waste disposal, and snow removal storage areas, are adequate to serve the special use. The use will not negatively impact the visual, scenic, or historic character of the town of Monroe. The building's architecture is consistent and suitable with the neighborhood in which it is located. Landscaping has been integrated into the overall design of the special use and includes a mix of undisturbed woodlands. Areas not used for building, parking, or driveway will be revegetated and landscaped as required by the zoning chapter. The board further makes specific findings regarding this two-family dwelling special use permit. A licensed professional engineer has certified, and the town engineer has verified that based upon observed soil testing and review of the wastewater disposal system designed by a New York State licensed professional engineer, the lot may be occupied and wastewater disposed of without resulting in a danger to public health or personal property, and that adequate separation distance is proposed to protect existing public and private wells, and that the proposed system would not preclude the viability for constructing a private well on any adjacent lot. Each lot contains only one driveway, shared by both dwellings on each such lot, and the driveway does not exceed 24 feet at any point. The driveway width does not exceed 24 feet at any point within the front yard of any lot. Except as necessary to provide driveway and utility connections, there is no grading or removal of natural vegetation for the first 50% of the required front yard closest to the front lot line. The applicant is proposing new trees and landscaping and will be required to maintain all plantings in a healthy and vibrant condition as a condition of this approval. Planning Board has further determined, in exercising its powers of architecture review, that the exterior design, arrangement, textures, and materials proposed to be used are architecturally appropriate and visibly compatible with the existing buildings and environment, that the alterations are consistent with the architectural style of the existing building and surrounding area, and that the structures are otherwise in compliance with Section 57-31. The Planning Board also determined, based on present and anticipated future need for park and recreation facilities in the town, that this project presents a proper case for requiring a park or parks suitably located for playgrounds or other recreational purposes. However, because suitable parks or recreation areas of adequate size to meet this requirement cannot be properly located on the plat, the Planning Board finds that this project requires a payment of a fee in lieu of providing parkland to suit the town's needs for this development. Certain public improvements have been identified on the plat as necessary public improvements, but given the modest scale of this application and the nature of the improvements to be completed, the board has determined that entry into a public improvement security agreement is not required for this applicant. Resolution of approval. Now, therefore, the Planning Board resolves to issue this conditional, preliminary, and final subdivision site plan and special use permits approval to the application of Golden Stone Consulting LLC, but only as specifically set forth on the plans, reports, and other documents identified above, or as subsequently revised in accordance with this resolution and upon the conditions outlined below, and that the chairwoman or her designee is authorized to sign the plat and other documents evidencing this approval only in strict accordance with all the terms and conditions of this resolution of approval. We have some specific conditions. Approval is subject to final engineering review of the plan sets. The plat shall not be signed until receipt of a letter from the planning board engineer certifying that all deficiencies noted in his memorandum of September 17, 2024 have been remedied to his satisfaction. Prior to the signing of the plat, the applicant shall revise the landscaping plan to incorporate the changes suggested in the MCC site visit report and address all comments of the planning board's landscape consultant, Karen Arnett, landscaping architect, noted in her memorandum of September 27th, 2024, to the landscape architect's satisfaction. Prior to the signing of the plat shall be revised to indicate that the SR10 boundary line shown on the plat is also the two-family overlay district boundary. Revised General Note 8 on Sheet 1 to read as follows. The basement in each dwelling unit shall not be used for bedrooms. No bedrooms are permitted in any basement without an amended site plan approval from the planning board.
If I could we discuss that
Sure.
condition? We're not sure why we're restricting units in there, not units, bedrooms in the basement when we have a maximum bedroom count on the plan. I would think that's a building department issue, that if they want to stick a bedroom in the basement, as long as they don't exceed the maximum number of bedrooms on the plan, and it meets the building code, that it should be permitted. I don't know why we're restricting them to come back here to move a bedroom to the basement. I can see if they wanted to add more bedrooms, but if they stay with the 4 bedrooms per unit, why they wouldn't have the flexibility to put them anywhere in the unit as long as it met the building code.
Well, I would think that part of it is, right now the proposal is for the basement to be completely unfinished. It's not like we'd be trading unfinished space in the basement if a bedroom went down there for unfinished space somewhere else in the house.
No, but that's all building department related.
Ellie, can I get a read on that?
You're approving the architectural plans as part of this, correct?
Yes.
The architectural plans show an unfinished basement.
Well, they're approving the architectural plans in terms of ARB, not actual internal, colors.
The only thing that I can say is that I don't know why this condition was put in there in the first place, but it would be an issue for enforcement. Certainly, they are limited to the number of bedrooms that you allow them as 4 bedrooms.
4 bedrooms. Yeah.
And the septic design is based on on the number of bedrooms.
About egress in the basement.
Again, the
Building.
That would be
building
in the
department, it would be all building department. So when they come in with their building plans, the architectural plans, if they wanted to stick a bedroom in the basement, they'd have to prove that they meet the code for all of that, ingress, egress, emergency access, et cetera.
Well, let's suppose that the ultimate architecturals that will go before building will have 4 bedrooms, but let's take this to let's play the tape all the way out.
Yeah.
So theoretically, the second floor could be a master bedroom and one other very large bedroom, and the basement could be divided in half into 2 very large bedrooms, and you'd still have your bedroom count. But now we have 3 finished floors, and I'm not so sure that wouldn't be that's not really what's being presented here.
No, but it's like any other dwelling. You're saying that it's going to be a 2-family dwelling. The footprint's 3,500 square feet. It's going to meets the code. It's 2.5 stories high. It could have basements. Any house could have a basement. We're not into a situation where we're talking about FA floor area ratio or a height restriction or anything.
No, that's not my concern. But when we were talking about the paragraph on page 1, one of the questions I had for Sean was, will we normally count unfinished basement space in the square footage of the total square footage of the home? And Sean would say no. If indeed, in my hypothetical situation, and I'm only saying that's hypothetical, if that was finished into 2 things, now we have 3 full finished floors. So it's not a 3,500 square foot unit. It's a
Well, no, it still is. That's just the footprint of the building. we're not referencing, even, I don't know where the 45 came from, but we're not referencing the total square footage. We're not referencing an FA, a floor area ratio calculation. It's not required.
Well, again, I'll defer to my
I think
experts.
that this may be all for naught. I don't actually know that we need to specifically change Note 8, because Note 8 by you says that no bedroom shall be proposed within the basement unless approved by the Town of Monroe Planning Board.
Yeah, it was something that had come up, and we, to be quite honest, we added the note, but looking back now, we don't see the need for it.
From a
I think
process,
if you're, is this a big issue for you right now? I mean, this is what you're proposing, right? Do you have buyers that are already considering basement bedrooms?
That I don't know. But just looking at it, the architect was like, I don't understand why we'd have to return back to the planning board to put a bedroom in the basement of the building that we're constructing. He basically brought it to my attention that if we were going for the fifth bedroom or sixth, of course, the whole thing would have to be relooked at and reapproved and reviewed. But we're staying within the parameters of site plan. And his thing was, suppose somebody does want a large master bedroom and wants to put the fourth bedroom in the basement, and he can meet the building code, he didn't understand what we would accomplish coming back here to ask if we could do that.
I would defer to this board on how you usually treat your unfinished basements.
I don't know if the board has restricted bedrooms in the basement previously. From my perspective, as long as the bedroom count is not exceeded, it doesn't matter where they are in the building.
I agree. But it would have to meet building code, fire code, don't exceed the setback.
it's always going to have to do that.
Yeah.
So by removing that note, it puts it in the building inspector's hands.
Yes.
So it's still going to be reviewed, it's just not going to be reviewed.
And you wouldn't be basically reviewing those exact internal layout plans. That's not what you're approving.
And you would still not exceed the maximum number of bedrooms. So
Anyone on the board have a concern about removing that item from the plans? We're comfortable having the building inspector handle that. I think that makes sense. Okay.
all right, thank you.
That note on any other page, or is it just on page
Just sheet.
1? Okay.
I'll be quiet for a while now.
Oh, I just lost my place.
If
We're
it
all good.
helps on 3 sub A, that should also be, indicate that the SR 10 district boundary line shown on the plat is also that of the 2FO district. Because I know you're redlining it, and so am I.
Starting back with item C, revise the wastewater disposal system certification on sheet 1 to pluralize the word system in the second to last line. Add a map note indicating that the lots are subject to a stormwater maintenance easement agreement with the town of Monroe. Add a map note indicating that lot 3 is subject to drainage easements for the stormwater facilities in favor of lots 1 and 2. Add a map note requiring compliance with the DEC tree removal restrictions. And a map note stating the design of the building, the colors, materials, and architectural features of the dwellings shall be as shown on the elevations prepared by Hartman Designs on file with the Town of Monroe Building Department. Any deviations from the approved materials shall require an amended architectural review by the planning board. Prior to the signing of the plat, the applicant shall file in the Orange County Clerk's Office an agreement with the Village of Curious Joel in a form acceptable to the town attorney that releases, terminates, annuls, and extinguishes the restrictive covenant, easement, and developer agreement previously filed in the Orange County Clerk's Office. Prior to the signing of the plat, the applicant shall execute an irrevocable offer of dedication to the town of Monroe for the proposed right-of-way dedication shown on the plat in the form acceptable to the town attorney. John, can you remind me, what's that right-of-way for? Where's the right-of-way in the property? And
The right-of-way? Yeah, so there's a shared There's a 25-foot on our property and 25-foot on the neighbor to the south. So it's a.
Oh, okay,
It's a common access easement between the two lots.
right.
We're not doing anything with it. It's still there, but there's no encumbrances to it, and we're not touching it.
Right, okay. That was where we were talking about the issue with the possibility of if the neighbor develops and then that need to be a road and.
Correct, because at one time we had a road there.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Prior to the signing of the plat, the applicant shall execute a maintenance easement agreement in the form acceptable to the town attorney and binding on all subsequent landowners, providing for the future operation and maintenance of the stormwater management facilities. Prior to the signing of the plat, the applicant shall execute a drainage easement and maintenance agreement for the stormwater facilities on Lot 3 in favor of Lots 1, form that is acceptable to the planning board attorney and town engineer. Prior to the signing of the plat, the applicant shall execute a restrictive covenant in such form as acceptable to the planning board attorney, requiring compliance with tree plan and town of Monroe preservation laws. That should probably be town of Monroe tree preservation law. Nine, prior to signing of the plat, the applicant shall execute a common driveway easement and maintenance agreement for lots 2 and 3 in a form acceptable to the planning board attorney. Prior to the signing of the plat, the applicant shall post with the town clerk performance security, restoration security, inspection fees, and maintenance guarantees in an amount to be fixed by the town board upon recommendation of the town engineer in order to secure completion of the public improvements depicted on the plat. Prior to the signing of the plat, the applicant shall deliver payment of a fee in lieu of parkland pursuant to the subdivision regulations of the town of Monroe, the zoning law of the town of Monroe, in sections 274A and 277 of the town of New York, in such amount as established by the town board dwelling unit in this subdivision site plan.
If I could, we could just go back to 10.
Sure.
I think earlier, the public improvements were waived for the agreement, public security agreements. So 10 is referencing the same thing? Is that the same? So it said certain improvements were identified on the
I
plans.
know what you're getting at.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's not.
So my thought is that the first one related to a legal agreement, a separate legal agreement that needed to be filed for the public improvements, and we're waiving that requirement.
That's why I just want to make sure.
Okay, but that the monies that need to be escrowed for performance security, restoration security, inspection fees, and maintenance guarantees would still be in place.
I like that much better than doing a project of this size.
And I think that's what the earlier notation was in relation to. Just because of the scale of this project, we can,
When I spoke with Ashley beforehand, that's what she indicated, as Sean said, because of the size of this project.
Okay, that's good. I just wanted to.
and the
I thought you were
public,
going to stay quiet.
What's that?
You said you were going to stay quiet.
well, it's because of the size of the,
Yeah,
it's not just the size of the project, but it's also the public improvements that are required are relatively minor as well, so.
Really aren't any public improvements that are being proposed. It's all internal to the lot. So I've always struggled with the wording of the PISA because it's for public improvements, whereas has been used in the past for private improvements.
Would the curb cut for the driveways be a public improvement since it's in the?
Private improvements.
That's still
'cause it's
private
supporting the lots.
Okay.
Yeah. But in essence, it gives this condition gives the town the same protections.
Right. Prior to the signing of the plat, the applicant shall pay to the town parkland account a fee of $750 per tree, which is being removed and not replaced, excluding trees determined to be dead by the planning board's landscape architect, and thus is not required to be replaced pursuant to Town Code 5786E. Prior to the signing of the plat, the applicant shall provide the planning board with written approval of the New York State DEC for the speedy general permit for stormwater discharge during construction activity. Prior to commencing any disturbance on the property, the applicant shall demolish the existing dwelling and improvements on the property as shown on sheet 2 to the satisfaction of the building inspector. Close and abandon the existing well on the property in accordance with New York State Department of Conservation and American Water Works Association procedures and standards, and provide the building inspector with a certification upon well abandonment filing with the New York State DEC. This approval is subject to the review and approval of the driveways by the Town of Monroe Highway Superintendent in substantially the same location and configuration. If such approval is not obtained, the applicant must return to the planning board for further review.
Just one point there. Sean, Pat, he's reviewed these already, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to put on the record.
Right,
So you will have to get a permit through the highway
right,
department. So that's
he
what-
hasn't, he reviewed it, but he hasn't issued the permit
Correct,
yet, which is our next.
No, I just wanted to make sure, we're good.
So no building permit shall be issued until a town highway department curb cut permit has been issued. No certificate of occupancy shall be issued until all improvements and landscaping are completed and the town highways department curb cut permit has been closed. The applicant shall comply with New York State DEC Speedy's general permit for stormwater discharge from construction activity and approved SWIP for the project. The applicant shall comply with the New York State DEC tree removal restrictions. The design of the building's color and materials and architectural features in the dwelling shall be as shown on the elevations. Last revised August 28th, 2024. No building permit shall be issued authorizing construction, treatment, or colors inconsistent with the elevation submitted to and approved by the planning board as part of this approval. All landscaping and trees shall be maintained in a healthy and vibrant condition at all times during the duration of use to provide for visual screening and protect the woodland character of the area, and shall be replaced if damaged or otherwise destroyed so as not to inhibit their screening ability for the life of the use. No lighting is being approved as part of this application. No exterior lighting shall be permitted without architectural review by the planning board.
My last one, I promise.
No, I was, if you didn't, I was gonna, so, please you. I defer to.
It's my last one. The applicant will request that the board consider removing that or making a notion that no site lighting, but if someone wants to put a light on the dwelling above a door or something, that be allowed.
There are no lights on the,
There will be
Building
lights
is-
on the building, but, where they want them, we don't know yet. Or what type of light it's gonna be. It'd be typical building light. You'll have a light next to the door, probably.
well, I mean, I would think,
Are have to have some.
I would think so.
Typical house light. I don't know how to explain it.
But you'd want the stairway well to the basement to have a light? You'd
Correct,
want a
but they
light
don't
by
know,
the,
right now, they don't know
what
what
in
they want,
particular?
what type of fixture they want, what type of look they want. So it's,
Well, how could we rework that, Kelly, to take into consideration that type of lighting, yet still,
I would suggest something that permits typical exterior dwelling lighting, but doesn't exceed 0.1 foot candles, doesn't, at the property line.
Or it does not have objectionable glare
Yeah.
as determined by the building inspector, or
I
something.
mean, I
of that
think
nature.
you've seen my typical 0.1.
yeah, the house is, it's building lighting, so that we're far enough away, we'll never get the .1. If we stick with the glare, I think if we put in the glare reduction and objectionable lighting to adjacent properties, something to that effect as determined by the building inspector prior to CO or something to that effect. Yeah.
I think that kind of functional lighting, whether it's for either the entryways, out on the back deck,
Correct.
probably.
And we
And
didn't-
remind me,
We
again,
didn't
I'm
want
sorry.
to, we
I
didn't
don't-
want to put it on the architecturals, because then that's what
What
would
if-
have had to have been done. And if the door moves 5 feet left or 5 feet right, the fixture could change and go with it. So it's very
How long are
specific.
the walkways from the parking? Right, there's not garages in the house.
No garages.
No, so,
I think the buildings are, I think they're 50 by, I think there's 50 by 60, the walkway, maybe 30 feet. It goes about halfway, and then there's a door. So,
Normally, I would say something that the light levels must be limited to .1 foot candles at the property line, so no off-site glare will result, and the fixtures shall meet IDA LEED or Green Globes criteria for nighttime friendly or dark sky lighting.
I think we're comfortable with utility-type lighting, whether it's to light the walkway, the entryways, on the back porch, under those conditions that Kelly described. I think what we would want to not approve would be decorative lighting.
decorative or general site lighting? Like if they wanted to put.
Non-wall mounted.
Correct. Not building-mounted lighting is what you would.
Well,
But if you put up a little solar butterfly that has a light, then you're technically.
No, but one of the driveways is long,
Long.
and so I don't want a light pole every 100 feet.
That's what we're trying.
So I'm trying to just differentiate between what you could put on your house, what they're gonna put on
Right.
the house.
Standard
versus-
residential
Correct,
pole mounted.
correct.
oh,
But just no pole mounted lighting shall be permitted along the driveways.
well, I get, right, but what about along the
Period.
walkways?
See, because they're gonna probably handle that with either on the building, or it'll be so insignificant that they're not gonna put up a 12-foot tall pole on the sidewalk. If they do, well, then they're in violation anyway, because it wouldn't meet the glare.
No, but it's not unusual for people along their walkways or in the front lawns to put a
100%, but-
6-foot pole light lantern-looking
Correct.
thing. I mean,
Maybe a
Yeah.
decorative light. I guess it wouldn't be.
I just consider it residential house lighting.
in my mind, that's utility lighting rather than decorative or ornamental lighting, which has an architectural
Correct.
effect rather than a utility effect.
Correct.
So if there's a way that we could term that in that,
Why don't we just use that exact, why don't we just say that architectural decorative lighting is allowed if it doesn't have objectionable glare, and that any.
well,
site
I guess the
utility
question would be, would that be clear for Ben when he's making a determination? And that, I mean, that's what we want to ensure, that
Yes.
he has an idea of what we're, like, we all know what we're getting at, but Ben might not. And it's got to be written in such a way that he can make a determination.
Restrict the pole height.
30-foot,
You could
things,
even,
you
you could
probably
even
only
say
put-
that it could just
you-
be within a certain distance around the house. You know, within 10 feet of the house or something to that effect. Because the sidewalks are right, I mean, we're not meandering, you know.
What if we said utility lighting at the entrances to the homes or along the walkway?
Along any established walkways, yeah, and/or decks and patios. Sorry.
Voice of George.
Yeah.
What about no, since we're focusing on the driveway, no pole-mounted lighting shall be permitted excluding standard decorative residential lighting. I feel like a light pole is not standard decorative lighting.
No,
So if we added that to limiting the light levels so that no off-site glare results and nighttime friendly lighting, I think that's fairly clear.
yeah, are you referencing the point one, though?
Yes. Because if
I
one of the neighbors puts up some tiki torch that's super bright, Do you really want that shining into your back window?
I'll be
No,
over
but-
for tequila.
No, but that would be, I don't want to do the .1 because then someone will have to do the calculation to prove the .1. And then Ben's going to be looking at a lighting plan saying, well, what is this?
Well, if
Well,
you
the
haven't submitted a
objectionable-
lighting plan.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's covered under objectionable, shielded lighting.
Well, both would cover it, right?
Objectionable and shielded.
No, objectionable in the point.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, and that way if the neighbor complains and someone goes there, oh yeah, it's right in here, that's objectionable, fix it.
0.1 foot. Nothing.
No. And I don't think the buildings there'll be no issue with it, but you're still covered by the objectionable and the shielded. And then the night compliant and all that.
Right, and I think that would give Ben sufficient guidance and latitude to
Correct.
make a determination, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gives him some flexibility.
Again, does what we're discussing make sense to the rest of the board? Anyone have any input on that? Okay, thank you.
So then it would say that whole thing, or no lighting is being approved as part of this application. No, I'll just take that part out. The light levels must be limited, so no objectionable lighting occurs, and fixtures shall include non-glare, full cutoff shields, so no off-site glare, this is a little duplicative. So no off-site glare will result, blah, 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 nighttime friendly, dark sky lighting, no pole-mounted lighting permitted excluding standard decorative residential lighting.
Except I think we gotta take out the first line.
Don't want,
Well, we're able to put the lighting.
oh, yeah, I deleted that, that was.
Okay.
So it started with the light levels
Yep, okay.
must be limited so that it results in no I'll fix it to
That-
make it look pretty.
That makes sense to me, thank you.
Number 24, this approval relies upon a drainage study or other evaluations by the planning board based on the structure sizes shown on the plat. No building permit for a structure larger than shown on the plat will be issued unless a new drainage study satisfactory to the planning board engineer has been submitted and approved. No disturbance to the lots are permitted beyond what is shown on the approved plat. This approval allows construction only of what is shown on the plat identified above. No outdoor amenities or accessory structures or outdoor fixtures, including but not limited to exterior walls, mechanical units, dumpsters, lighting, etc., may be constructed or placed erected except as shown on the approved plan without approval of the building inspector or the planning board. So in that case, that still leaves us open to say, yep, Ben can approve the lighting.
Lighting,
The way
That's yours.
the way
And-
number 26 is worded, it doesn't require, like if we get into this issue with the lighting, it doesn't require them to come back to the planning board for that because it provides for the building inspector. Okay.
correct, yep.
General conditions. This approval is conditioned upon the applicant submitting all necessary copies of the plat to be signed to the Town of Monroe Building Department within 180 days of the date of this application. It's conditioned upon the applicant submitting all necessary copies of the plans to be signed to the Town of Monroe Building Department within 180 days of the date of this approval as required by Section 57-16M Sub 1 of the Code of the Town of Monroe. The approval is further conditioned upon all approvals that are needed by the operation of federal, state, or local laws or regulations, whether or not noted above in the specific conditions of this resolution. Not limited to the United States Army Corps of Engineers, NYSDC, NYSDOT, NYS State Department of Health, Orange County Department of Health, Town of Monroe Town Board, and in compliance with New York State Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code. This approval is further conditioned upon the applicant delivering in writing that all fees and expenses owed to the town for all land use applications in regards to this project have been fully paid. A fully completed entity disclosure statement signed and either sworn to or affirmed by the applicant referenced is on file with the board. In the event this property, the right to develop this property is sold, assigned, or otherwise transferred, The transferring entity shall notify the town in writing, and any such succeeding entity must fully comply with this notification requirement before any work or activity shall be permitted to proceed, continue, or completed. The site plan, as approved by the planning board, shall be binding upon the applicant and any subsequent owner of either parcel. Any changes from the approved plan shall require resubmission and reapproval by the planning board. The site plan approval shall be effective for a period of 2 years from the date of the of this resolution is adopted, notwithstanding any extension pursuant to section 57-16M sub 1 of the Code of Town of Monroe. Pursuant to 5711M of the Code of the Town of Monroe, the special use permit shall be deemed to have expired if construction is not completed and a certificate of occupancy is issued within 180 days of the date of issuance. Extensions of such authorization may be granted by the planning board for not more than 2 additional 90-day periods upon written request by the applicant, setting forth the reasons for such request. Pursuant to 5711M, this special use permit is deemed to have expired if it ceases operation for a time period equal to or greater than 12 consecutive months for any reason. This conditional subdivision approval shall expire 6 months after the date of the resolution granting such approval, unless the requirements have been certified to be completed within that time and the plat has been signed, or such time is extended by the planning board in accordance with Town Code A65-7 and New York State Town Law. A failure to comply with any conditions in a timely manner shall result without further action in lapsing of this approval.
Take a drink.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this resolution approving the site plan for the Gold and Stone Consulting LLC project at 127 Seven Springs. May I have a second?
Second.
Noreen? Aye.
Pat Shea,
Aye.
Dylan Penn,
Aye.
Lou Rivera.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Done. I'm getting out of here. Have a good night. Thank you.
Night. So, just quickly, we have on the agenda additional matters to discuss. The updated law amendment, local law for tree preservation.
That off.
But that's off of this because
Ashley and Bonnie were supposed to do
and we
something.
made that decision at the last meeting.
Right.
We do not have a quorum for our June 13th, 2024 meeting.
Nope.
So before we adjourn, Mary, anything you'd like to address with the planning board this evening? Then you go right ahead. Any other business before the board? No? Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you.
Your voice is